people. How are we all? Yeah, I am sitting down because my back's in bits again, so I'll be sitting down for this one, and I've got to watch a game of football for you lot, so you're welcome. But yeah, I hope everyone is good. Appreciate all the support and appreciate you. In this video, we're just going to basically go through certain things in the game that I really liked, enjoyed, and which led to our success against a very good side, and how we kind of nullified threats and how we developed our play throughout the game to actually be effective in the key areas. So yeah, let's get straight into that. Yeah, and if you don't mind watching and all the other good stuff, I'd appreciate it. But let's get into it. I just want to start off going through instances of the press because I was very impressed with our press. Our press was really good. It was more of a selective press. It wasn't a all-out man-for-man, complete across the front line press. It was picking out triggers that initiate a press or picking areas of the pitch or whoever had the ball at certain positions. That's when we decided to press. And what I liked about the press was when we selected it, it worked and it was quite effective. And it's all right pressing, and people often say, let's press at them. What does that mean? You need to be effective or you'll just get picked off. And if a press isn't effective, you're going to get picked off easily. But you have to be effective with it. And we were, and this is what I mean here. So notice as the keeper has the ball, so what we decide as a team here is not to engage. You got Jorginho there, who's literally just going to cut anything through this gap here. Perrault is always watching Harry Winks, which he did a lot in that first half, and it's something I'll talk about. He's actually off a lot of impact off the ball, which maybe we didn't notice in the game. Somerville is doing half and half between Face and Pereira, who's dropped into the middle to cut the lanes off. And it's basically about nullifying anything through the middle and not being aggressive by then giving them a numerical advantage. For example, if Jorginho Rutter does decide to fully press the goalkeeper in this situation, you're just leaving many gaps across the pitch. And here you can kind of see we're 3 for 3. 2 quite tight, with Somerville playing half and half to cut the line passes off. Here it is again, a second later. It's clear now. Again, Somerville playing half and half. Not going out there, and it's not going to Casadei in this dangerous area. So Somerville's job is to cut anything off through there, half and half. Man for man, again, half and half. Making them decide, making them choose a way. Boom. Second, the goalkeeper gives the ball to Vestergaard. That's the trigger. You can see there, that's Jorginho's trigger. And all he's doing in this instance is cutting the ball off. Nullifying the space in behind. Making them go one way. That's the aim of this press for Jorginho's role here. Making Vestergaard go into this cul-de-sac where we clearly have a numerical advantage. It's smart and it's good play. Good pressing, and it's what you need to be against good teams. Boom. Success. Done that bit. Now Vestergaard is running into this area here. As you can see, the job now is to clearly find a man and play in these half spaces to not allow balls through the press, which is here, to these two guys. And we did that. And now we have bodies forward. And they are pushing extra bodies forward. Here's Pereira, who's joined them to try and get the ball out from the back. Has joined the defence to try and progress the ball. Harry Winks is there with Perrault again, staying really tight to him. And this is the trigger now where higher up, we can be more progressive. We can be more aggressive. And here it is in this wider, deeper area. Somerville has recognised we have numbers over here. So all Somerville is going to do is not allow it back. Again, make them play into pressure, into trouble. We clearly here are in a good position to pounce. Look, man for man. Man for man. Robertson has the ball again. They're not pressing him. Making sure the gaps are plugged. There's no space in behind to play into these guys in here. Again, Perrault sitting on Winks, doing a good job. Kamara on Pereira as he joins the midfield. Make sure there's no overloads. Make sure there's no spaces. Don't be too aggressive on the goalkeeper when he's in central areas with 2 centre-backs either side of him. Be smart. That's what I really liked. And you remember the Southampton game where Alcaraz would drop into midfield really deep and we were too reactive and he had too much time and it created overloads. This is Pascal Struijk here, by the way, doing the exact same thing. But this time, he's on Casadei. He's on him. There's no way, in any way, shape or form, any of these players in this ball here are turning our guys and running at us. They will not allow it. The position was excellent. The aggression was excellent. And it really affected the early stages of the game. And it really allowed us to put the emphasis on attack. Look at this. Man for man. Man for man. Man for man. Spare man. Waiting for anything to go at the keeper. Jorginho Rutter is watching these areas. It's all about creating a blanket and creating kind of a trap for them to play into, which they do in a second when we almost score. We're in a good position. This is a good position here. This is a good area. So there it is. It goes all the way across to Vestergaard, who plays the ball into Harry Winks. Perrault again right next to him, not giving him a second. And now look at this situation. Because we were slow and progressive in the way we pressed and smart with it, what we did was slowly, we attracted more of their players to try, because they couldn't play it out. So naturally, they brought more players into the defensive area to try and overload us to play it out. We just kept bringing it. We noticed that. Pascal Struijk had to go. He went because we knew that, look, we don't want them to get it to their danger men up top. Let's nullify everything in the middle, try and create chances from it. And this is a successful press right here. Hermanson's under pressure from Somerville, who's cutting everything off this side. There is no pass out, because that's when you're in trouble. Because if you can get a ball out here, suddenly you can see it's a 2v nothing. That's when the overload comes in. That's when you're in trouble. There's no option out. Perrault is on Winks. Kamara is on Pereira. Rutter is on Vestergaard. Is that Dan James on Justin out there? Hermanson is not getting the ball out wide here. Excellent press. Really resilient and really good from Leeds United, this is. And watch where it comes from it. And there's the second phase. Dewsbury Hall now coming into the picture. Where's Ampadu? He anticipated it. He knew that was going to happen. We've trained for this. We've worked hard for this. You know what happens next. Ampadu wins the ball. We get an attacking position and Joel Perrault should score. But by this point here, when Ampadu does win this ball, that's where you've won. That's where the press has worked. Now look at the numbers you have forward in dangerous areas to score a goal. And we did this 2 or 3 times in the first half. It's very impressive. So this is how for Leeds, it's against possession-based sides that rely on playing out from the back. This is how we could be effective. And against Southampton, which was very similar, we weren't quite pragmatic enough. We were too passive in the press because we did try and do similar things, but we were just too slow. And they created overloads and we didn't have the answer to them, but we had the answer to Leicester's overloads. For the most part, look, they'll get through once or twice because they're a quality side, right? But we were very good in this, especially for the first 15-20 minutes. I thought we were very effective in the press and it worked really well. So kudos to the manager and the players for pulling it off. Really impressive. Just a quick example now. Look, from that goalkeeper playing out. Look at this. Look how high we are. It's a good press. Pereira's still up there. Kamara's on his man. Perrault again stood right next to Harry Winks, giving him nothing. Casadei is the man in space. That's Somerville's job and Kamara's job to not allow that ball through there because that's where the danger is. Alright, the press has to be good, but it has to be productive. Even when you're pressing, you need 1 or 2 spare men who can stop the passes through to midfield, otherwise you're in big trouble. What do? The goalkeeper goes out to Fess. I can't say his name. Fass. Sorry. Struijk again, tracking that run. That's your centre-back, tracking that run of Casadei, going man for man. Knowing who's man for man and knowing who's spare. And there it is. Struijk anticipates that, wins that battle, and then Jorginho Rutter is in this position, and again, we should score. This is in 2.5 minutes, by the way, people. Very good press. Very impressed by that. We can do this more often and be more effective in games with this. We've got another string to our bow here that is just another way in which we can win games. Very impressive. And we'll move on now to their threats and how we nullified them in the second half, thanks to Nigel Farke's tactics. And let me just clarify as well. And I could do 15, 20 times where Joel Perrault has just tracked Harry Winks and nullified everything he does to pass him back. There's 2 or 3 times where Winks gets free, again, obviously. But he did a very good job off the ball today of just tracking Winks and making him go back, not allowing him to play forward, not allowing him to get at Dewsbury Hall. So, shout out to him. This here is just a bit of an example of one scenario where we were a little too reactive and a little too passive. So, you can see now, obviously, a little higher than the goalkeeper, so it's a different type of phase, but this is where we kind of maintained a block and tried to cut off anything in the middle, which we did very successfully. But you can see there's a problem brewing out here with King, Dewsbury Hall, Archie Gray, and Mavididi, who's very, very wide on the left. So the idea here as a centre back is to cut anything into this man. As you can see, again, Perot's watching Winks. Pereira has been watched by Ampadu. Dan James isn't really watching anyone, so I don't know whether it's a suggestion from where maybe Ampadu, oh, they can pass these one on one more, so Kamara can be on Pereira and Ampadu should be out there, or Dan James just sits in a little closer to cut this passing line off to Dewsbury Hall, because as you can see, when Dewsbury Hall gets it, there's a lot of space in this area to be productive for these players. And again, I'll show you in the second half in a minute, we shut that space off and didn't allow space between the lines. We did well for the main part, but just a little one here of where it kind of went wrong. Yeah, the manager threaded a pass through, and now this is the issue. You know, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 there against 4. So the midfield's gone at this point, and you're in a 2v1 situation out wide. And this is where be exploited if you don't get the shape right, because this wasn't really a press, it was more of a shape thing. Again, blocking the middle, not allowing anything through the middle. Because now what you have to do as fullbacks is play narrower to defend the middle of the goal, defend the middle of the pitch. And that's where the space came out wide for Fatawu, 1v1 Sam Barham, who at this point, I believe he's already on a yellow card. So this is just a little bit in here where we have to be more secure. And we were for a lot of the game. There was 1 or 2 moments later on in the first half where they did exploit us, and we did put our fullbacks in situations in 2v1 areas out wide. There you can see. Now Archie Gray has to make a decision. And obviously, look, try and do half and half. You don't want to go tight to him. There's millions of space in here. You don't want to go tight here because then it's so much space out here. So he's doing well to kind of, I guess, just get back into shape before he actually commits. And obviously Sam Barham has to sit narrow to block off these front runners here. And there's a guy out wide who has all the space. And that's where this comes into it. One ball across from Dewsbury Hall, who actually chose to go out this side, which probably would just go on the other side. Now, as you can see behind me, Fatu now has a lot of 1v1 space against Sam Barham. So now here you're in a bit of a situation, as you can see. Sam Barham's on a yellow card. He can't really commit. He can't dive in. He has to just do his best. But if he's in 1v1 here, you're in a bit of trouble. Hence why you got the better of him once or twice in the second half. Hence why Mavididi got the best of Archie Gray once or twice, again, because Dewsbury Hall drifting out to that left, and when we allowed it to Dewsbury Hall in the wide area, it was always a 2v1. So it's difficult for Archie Gray to be set as a defender. But we defend the middle of the goal really well. We did force Mavididi Atu inside. There was one where he went on the outside, but again, it was a similar situation. But we packed the middle of the goal really well, which is what we did throughout the game. Again, in the middle, we don't do enough to affect these spaces. We allow the ball to go to Dewsbury Hall again in this area here. Jorginho attracts Pereira. Faust runs into the centre of the park, and we don't put too much pressure on him, which then creates, you know, a bit of danger in here. And then again, there it is, 2v1 out wide, in essence, which allows Mavididi to run Archie Gray and get the better of him 1v1. He's not set. He's not in a position to defend properly. We have to do better in here. We have to close these areas, these spaces off. And again, this is what I mean in wide areas, where in the second half we dropped Somerville back, whereas Somerville was further forward in the first, and it was more like, as you see in this situation here, this is Perot covering Sam Byron, but actually it's kind of a 3v3 out wide, which is not ideal. You want an overload, ideally. So he was 1v1 again. Sam Byron on a yellow card. He can't dive in. He can't be aggressive. So he's in trouble. There's a lot of space behind our defence in this 1v1 situation, which is a bit of a worry. Because again, Pascal can't commit to the recovery behind Sam Byron to cover him, because he has to watch the space of Jamie Vardy in here. Again, Perot is on Casadei again, so he can't commit behind Sam Byron. It's a difficult situation for a guy on a yellow card to deal with. And again, they had a bit of joy from this attack. And those are the patterns that were starting to evolve. We got a little bit kind of passive in midfield at times that allowed Dewsbury Hall 2v1s out wide. And again, Sam Byron on a yellow card, they overloaded this side with players to create 1v1 situations for Sam Byron versus Fatu, trying to exploit the space we left him behind with a fairly high line. And this was the difference in the second half for me. You can just look out there Fatu on that side. And of course, because we kind of negated 10 to 15% possession in the second half, we naturally sat deeper because of that. That was the sacrifice. Now, what we did when we sat deeper was actually create less space for the wingers to exploit the space in behind, which I mentioned in the previous clip. As you can see here, Sam Byram's task is fairly simple. He has cover inside. So this is the area just past him where he wants to force Fatu, expecting that he'll win that because that's where he knows he's going to go. There's not a lot of space for him to work, Fatu, now. And this is what we did really well. We really helped our fullbacks in terms of, look, if we're 1-0 up, we can sacrifice 10-15% possession. We believe in our block. We believe in our shape defensively. And we know by nullifying their wide threat, we can just sit deeper. But when the ball comes into the box, look, you've got 4 or 5 guys in there ready to deal with it at all times. Protecting the goalkeeper, protecting the box, protecting anywhere around the box. And relying that Sam Byram as the nous up here to defend properly in these situations, given less space for the wingers, which we did. And as you can see, I talked about 2v1s and 3v3s. They have 2, we have 3 out wide now. 1, 2, for us, 1, Kamara, 2, Perot, 3, Byram, 3v2. We have the overload now. That's a good shape. It's a better shape for us. Again, I mentioned Dewsbury Hall. Here he is here, just in this little pocket. As you can see, there is now 3 guys blocking that pocket. And Perot and Kamara switched this role a little bit. So sometimes Kamara would go out to create an overload out wide. Sometimes Perot would go out to create an overload defensively out wide. But one always remained cutting the line between Harry Winks and Dewsbury Hall, because they know this is the threat and this is the area where you can be in. As you can see, Dan James is also watching that area. 3v2 in a wide area. Overload. Good work. Great block. Oh, excellent situation here. So look, we've realised, and these are the wingers now. Look, there's Dan James and there's Somerville, who is going back in position out wide. They're just helping the fullback out. They're giving these wingers no space and nothing to work. We know that realistically they're trying to cut inside. We just pack the middle of the box. Give them nothing. People talk about possession and all that, and there's so many sides to football to be effective and to be a good team. And this formation, this show here is a good team. You can see Jude's holding the ball now. The second he gets it in touch, if you're not close enough to him, all right, fair enough. But is there options? Make sure there's no options. And there isn't. They try a 1-2, we smother it, we win the ball back, we are on counter. We're in such a good shape because it's solid and there's no overloads against us. That is vital. Not in hardly any situation in this game did they, in the second half, after we scored, did they have a 2v1 out wide attacking. We always had even numbers, 1v1, or we had 2v1s, 3v2s. And then the rest of the guys were in the middle, stopping anything through the middle. Really well worked. Yeah, that's it, people. I just want to show a little kind of recap from what I remember from the game and what I saw from the game and what impressed me about our shape and the way in which we adapted, the way we play, and showing a different side to us, this defensive side, resilient side, strong side. Really impressive in certain areas. The way in which we were mentally switched on for 95 minutes to defend, be pragmatic in terms of defence and be effective defensively and not allow pressure of Leicester to overwhelm us. We were very solid. We looked very good. And the principles of what we did were right. We didn't allow overloads. We packed the box. We dealt with anything at the edge of the box. And we nullified their threats. And we still had a threat on the counter. That's an excellent adjustment from the manager. And the players to carry it out is also very good. I was very impressed. Let me know what you guys think. Just a little I'm bored this evening, so a little fun one for you all there. I appreciate the support as usual. See you in a bit.